Hi guys, welcome back to the workshop. I'm Nick Reeves and this is part 4 of the Cambrian Funfighter ME109 build. As you've seen in previous videos, this is going to be a glider version, a PSS model, but as yet I'm building it as per plan. So when I left it last time, what we had to do is the next step was to get the push rod in, or the snake in for the elevator. It's now in. Not quite sure exactly where it's going to have to exit out here yet. But that can be tweaked later on. The main bit was getting the holes in here so I can sheet then this back end. I'm taking it all the way through to the forward bay here, because that's where the servo is going to be. Normally the elevator servo is about here somewhere, but because I want to get the weight forwards, because there's going to be no big noisy lumpy bit on the front, I'll put the servo in the front here and then the battery in the engine bay. So that's that. When I was gluing up the front end, I noticed that there was quite a bit of, well, I've mentioned it before, there was twist in the fuselage. So what I'm going to do when I come to curve the sheeting around the back end, actually glue it on, not the gluing onto the side, but when I glue it round, I'm actually going to weigh the back end model down, because it is flat underneath here. This former here is flat, so if I weigh down there and get all of these points here flat on the bench, it should keep this end from that point back square, and then all I've got to worry about is any twist from here in the wing. As long as the wing and the tailplane are square to each other, it's not a problem. So yeah, that's the next step. So I should carry on with that and come back to you once we've got a bit more done. Okay, so a bit more done. The top edges have been sanded to profile, so the fuselage sides can come round once they're glued on, front and rear. But I just went to look for the fuselage sides, see how they're done. I thought they came as pre-cut pieces. They did on the larger Spitfire, which I'm building, same manufacturer. I'll put a link up here as to that. Now, simply reading the instructions, which I never thought I'd do, the fuselage sides come as just sheet balsa, so you have to cut them out to suit, which is not a problem. I can do that, but the material they've supplied is split all down its length. I don't know if that's just from age or it's just been damaged or whatever, but anyway, what I'm going to do is I'm going to dig out some more sheet stock. I've sarcastically saying it, I've got a little bit of wood laying around. I could probably supply several model shops with the amount I've got. So that's the next step. But then I started thinking, well, where does the sheeting come back to? You know, what's built up down here? What holds the fin? One fin. The plan isn't very clear as to what goes in here. There's nothing detailing like a block or anything like that. So again, back to the instructions. And it says at this point you glue the fin in and then you sheet all the way along. No, the fuselage sheeting holds the fin in, so the sheeting comes all the way back to the back of the fin, which is fine. But what I've had to do, I'm just going to turn this round. I don't know if you can see the line, the push rod comes up through the fuselage from this side. Let's get this straight. From this side comes up and across this side, so it exits out here, which again, it's not a problem, that's where it's shown. But to achieve this, which means the push rod is going to exit through the sheeting, which I need to put on. So this push rod can still be moved, so I can mark that all up on the sheeting, but I've had to put a notch in the bottom of the fin, at the front of the fin, so when the fin's in, it's going to clear it. Now again, you might think, oh, that's weakened the fin. It has a little bit, but what I've done for now is I've soaked that cutout in thin cyano, so it's hardened it all up. And when I come to actually put the push rod in and the side glued in and everything, I'll fill that with glue as well, so it's going to be fully supported. Excuse me. So, next step now, according to the instructions, is to glue the fin on. I'm not going to do that just yet. What I'm going to do is I'm going to cut all my sheeting. Because this side needs to have the push rod come out through it, I'm going to do this side first, lay it on, tape it in place maybe, and mark through from this way onto the inside of it where the hole's got to be, notch it out, take a scalpel to it, cut it out, just with it all held in place, no taped in place or whatever, so I know where I've got to put the hole in it, and just gently tease it out, get it all nicely fitting, glue it onto the side, that will go off, and then bring it up, clamp it in place, take the push rod out through it, and then put the fin on. Now I have been eyeballing the fin up obviously to get this notch in and get everything right. The reason for the notch is because I mentioned it before, the fuselage had a twist in it. It still has got a bit of a twist, but it's also got a bit of a bow. I've measured the fuselage sides, and again, one is slightly longer than the other, so it's my mistake. I built a bow into it, but it's not a problem as long as I get the fin straight down the fuselage. It's not going to be a problem. So it is going to look as though it's going to sit very slightly off, lead the edge of the fin to the right of the model. I'm not worried about how it looks as long as it flies alright, so you won't be able to see it when it's flying. I'm not worried. So it is going to sit very slightly off. If someone wants to worry about it, let them worry about it. I'm not. So that's the next step now. Yeah, that'll be the next thing to do. Cut some balsa, find some balsa first, cut it so that it's roughly the right size. So the rear piece has to go from the back to about here somewhere, midpoint in the cockpit, and then the front piece from there to the front. So I should, just looking at the sizes, there's my measuring stick here, that's going to be, if I'm lucky, I should be able to get both sides out of one length, because it's only 2 inches at its widest point. So a 4-inch piece, split it in half, should be able to get the 2 of them out of it. The rear, if I wanted to, I could probably get it out of a 3-inch piece, but I use a 4-inch just because that's what I've got most of. Glue it on and I'll trim it to length once it's in place. So that's the next step. I should get on with that and come back to you shortly. Okay guys, got quite a way along with the sides and sheeting and whatnot now. As you can see, I've got the forward sheeting edge glued. This is a bit stiffer than what I was hoping to use, but it'll give it more strength. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to raid the kitchen steamer, not the one for cooking vegetables like a saucepan, but one for actually cleaning stuff. It's like a gun type thing. Steam down the outside surface that I want to curve in, and just gently tease it over when it's steaming and hot. And I'll do the same on the other side, and just gently clamp across the top to let it all pull in. The rear, let's see if I can show this to you, what we've got. Looking at the wrong side just now, but I'll show you. Got the fin tacked in. I have made a mistake, and it's only come to light now. Consulted with the Oracle, otherwise known as my dad, who's built a few of these. First of all, we thought that the twist could be due to the sides being unequal lengths to allow for right thrust at the front. This kit and plan and instructions does not mention anywhere about built-in side thrust, so I don't think it's that. What I think's happened is, I don't know if you remember in the previous videos, I had to remake this former. What I think I've done is I've actually made the former the right width here, but the wrong profile going up. So it's actually sitting, the top spine, I've actually carved it so it's slightly off one side. I'm not overly worried about it because what I've done, I don't know if you'll be able to see, might be able to see there, the fin is sitting very slightly off to what is the right hand side. It's sitting very slightly that way in the camera view. So what I've had to do to help counteract that, I've got the push rod coming through, and then I've made the, let's see if I can get it in place. This is the rear sheeting. I'll just slide it into place down here. Bear with me. Right, it's going to sit something like that. So it's going to encapsulate the fin. And then if you can see from this side, I'll try and turn it around. It's not naturally rolling around, so I need to glue it at the bottom and then roll it around. The top of it is, the depth of the sheeting is actually deeper than the top of the spine, which is fine because I want to be able to sand it off. But down here at the fin, I've notched it. Again, you can't see because I've got it around the wrong way. I've notched it there, just so this line here is where I want it to be on the fin. I'll do the same with the other side, making sure it's all the same height. So now what I can do is, I'm going to give it another check over. Oh, something else I've done, you should be able to see here, I've added this like mini doubler here, because what I found when I was putting the sheeting on, it was naturally going in to this bay and wasn't following the curve of the side. So I just put this in there to help it follow the curve as I'm gluing it. That help keep it the same shape all the way along, less filling, less sanding, etc. So the next stage really is to get certainly this first side edge glued on, make sure I'm happy with it, and then after that I'll possibly roll that one round and glue it up to the sides, because I can actually then get in from this side to make sure it's all glued properly. Because this side, as we're looking at the left hand side, hasn't got any push rods or anything coming through it, I can edge glue that and just roll it around. So yeah, I think that's the next stage. Yeah, I'll come back to you once I've got more bits glued on and more shape to the fuselage, but so far it's coming on not so bad. So yeah, I'll come back to you in a bit. Okay, so that's the rear sheeting gluing up. It's been stuck on with aliphatic, so it's going to take 24 hours to go off properly. A bit of fettling to get it to work, but it's on there quite nicely. I even had to fettle the join line to get that to sit nicely, because I don't think this side is perfectly straight along that line. So I'll leave that at least till tomorrow now to dry. With other things going on, it'll probably be a couple of days now before I can get back to it. But I might see if I can pinch now here or there, come and do some more. So for now I shall leave it at that and come back to you with a bit more.